So just a few days ago, Adobe released some big updates, with the release of Lightroom version 12 making what was already a fantastic masking section even better. But despite all the updates, there's one I really wish Adobe would work on, and that's adding an amount slider in the color grading section. Now let me explain what I mean, but also show you a hack that's going to give you way more control when working on your photographs. Oh, and I've got a favour to ask right at the end as well. Okay, so a short while back, Adobe updated the presets in Lightroom by adding in an amount slider. This is a big deal because it basically means that once you've used a preset and maybe then adjusted some of the settings, you can then use the amount slider to dial the overall effect down or even dial it up, which gives you so much more control and creative choice. And this is exactly what I wish Adobe would introduce into the color grading section in Lightroom. So let me explain on this photograph of a model called Lewis that I took a picture of wearing authentic World War II RAF uniform. So the image has been edited up to this point, but I'll dive into the color grading to add the finishing touch. In the color grading, I'll go to the expanded view by clicking on the shadow, midtones or highlights disc at the top, or I could just click on the name next to each of the individual color wheels in the condensed view. I'll start with the shadows and cool them down by adding in some blue tones. I'll go for around about here, but to slow the controls down so I can fine tune the blue that I'm choosing, I'll hold down the Option key on Mac or Alt key on Windows as I drag. Now I have the blue I want, I'll adjust the saturation by holding down the Shift key and sliding back and forth. Holding the Shift key down locks the colour so that you can adjust the saturation much more easily. I'll then use the luminance slider and drag it to the left to ensure that the darkest areas of the image remain dark and don't get colour added to them. Next I'll go to the midtones, which are mainly for the skin tones, and I'll warm them up. Again I'll use the Shift key to then adjust the saturation. Next I'll cool down the highlights and again use the luminance slider, but this time drag it to the right to ensure that the brightest parts of the image don't have colour attached to them. And with that done, I'll use the blending slider and drag it to the right a little so that the colours I've added to the shadows, midtones and highlights blend into each other a bit more, and then I'll drag the balance slider over to the left so that the colours added to the shadow areas are slightly more dominant. And lastly, I'll add some warmth over the entire image using the global colour wheel. And there we go. There's before and after, before and after. Now here's the thing, I love how the colour grading looks, but if I wanted to control it and tone it down a little, I would need to go into each of the individual sections and adjust them in equal amounts. But if there was an amount slider, like there is in the presets, then that would make this so much easier and give so much more control. But in the meantime, there is a workaround. Once you've done your colour grading, you could create a preset of just those settings. So we'd go to Presets and click on the plus icon. I'll call this one World War II RAF, and it will be saved in the User Presets folder. Underneath, I just need to make sure that the only section that's ticked is the colour grading. So if all of the settings are ticked, then click on Check None and then put a tick in the colour grading checkbox. Now this here is important. Make sure that the Support Amount Slider checkbox is also ticked, then click on Create. Now let's go to the colour grading section and just reset this by holding down the Option key on Mac or Alt key on Windows and then clicking on Reset, so that it takes us back to the point where we now want to do the colour grading. I'll go to the presets and choose my World War II RAF colour grading preset, and then I can use the amount slider to reduce the colour grading or even increase the colour grading, giving us so many creative possibilities. But imagine how much easier it would be if Adobe just added that amount slider into the color grading section. Now on that note, I have a favor to ask. There's a page on the Adobe website where we can submit feature requests. I've added the link in the description of this video, but when you're on that page, choose the product from the drop-down menu, which in this case is Lightroom Classic. Then click on Post to Community. Select Idea, give your post a title, and then write the feature request, which in this case is an amount slider in the color grading tab. And maybe, just maybe, if enough people submit that feature request, Adobe will add it in so that we get it in Lightroom Classic, Lightroom CC, and even Camera Raw, which is going to give us so many creative possibilities when working on our pictures. But for this video, that's all I've got for you. So as always, give us a thumbs up, and I'd really appreciate it if you clicked on that subscribe button, because it's just a great free way that you can support this channel. And also click on that bell icon so that you don't miss out on any future videos. But like I said, that's me, I'm done. I'll see you in the next video.